Hey guys, it's Axial GT. Welcome to Baldur's Gate 3 Day. I've always enjoyed playing D&D games on PC, all the way back to the day of the gold box games, from Strategic Simulations. Here's an interesting bit of trivia. If you look on the back of the old gold box game of Death Knights of Krynn, you'll find my character's names listed to beat the first game of the series, Champions of Krynn. When you bought the first game, it came with a hero card. And when you beat the game, you wrote the names and levels of your characters and mailed them off to Strategic Simulations. Imagine my surprise when I saw an advertisement for the sequel and my characters' names were on the box. Well, being a kid at the time, my logic was I should get a discount for the sequel, Death Knights of Krynn. So I wrote him a letter. Yes, this was before email, but Strategic Simulations had different ideas. And they actually did write back to me and more or less told me to, well, piss off. And I didn't think that was very nice, but it was worth a shot. And I have always thought to myself, those old gold box games really deserve some remakes. The graphics are extremely dated, but there's some really good stories to be told here. But anyway, back to Baldur's Gate 3. Now I didn't do an impressions video for the game. It wasn't for the lack of want to, it was for lack of time. But what are my impressions for the early access of the game? This is awesome. A little rough around the edges. Larian Studios is doing a fantastic job capturing the feel of the Baldur's Gate series. Yes, there are a few hints of the Divinity games mixed in and intertwined, but I kinda expected that. But it does feel more like a Baldur's Gate game than Larian's other games. But in this video, I'll be giving you some tips to make your journey through Baldur's Gate 3 hopefully a little easier. And if you go on to enjoy the video, please leave it a like and subscribe for future Axial GT content. I'm on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and only you could help me do that. With that out of the way, on with the video. Some of these tips may seem benign and a given, others not so much, but Larian does not hold your hand when playing Baldur's Gate 3, so a lot of these tips are a must. First up is save your game often. Yeah, I know a lot of you have already heard this before, but it's true. Do not rely on the autosave feature. If you do, you may wind up in a world of hurt, wishing that little worm inside your head was a little more intuitive with its psychic tendencies. There's nothing worse than having the floor mopped with your characters, only to find when you restart that your last save was quite a few precarious fights ago, and you will have to do them all over again, so save often. Now that was an easy one. Now we have the character creation. Do not rush through this. What is chosen here will infect your entire playthrough. And while it may look like a standard RPG creation system, there's a surprising amount of depth here. How you choose to build your character will also have bonuses and/or consequences down the road. You have things like race, class, appearance, but you also have abilities and talents to choose. Make sure to choose ones that will boost your stats for whatever build you are going for. As an example, there are two builds that I usually start my Dungeons & Dragons adventures with, the High Elf Cleric and the Short and Stubby Dwarf. I use the High Elf Cleric mainly for its healing abilities, a great way to keep your party alive, and can be a lifesaver early on. And my tanky Short and Stubby Dwarf can always take a beating while dealing damage in return. I love my Short Stubby Dwarf. Maybe it's because it reminds me of... Hey, nobody's perfect. That's why I can't wait for Cyberpunk 2077. My character is going to have a huge...
Get back to the video. Nobody cares, Pee-wee.
Me, myself, and I think I should get back to the video. Now that you understand some of my shortcomings, my next tip that I have for you is I've heard some people complain and bring up that there is no encyclopedia of monsters with strengths and weaknesses in Baldur's Gate 3, which would come in handy for new players when coming across new foes in combat. Well, Axial GT to the rescue. While you can always jump into the numerous D&D wikis to find out more of what you are fighting, and possibly the weaknesses they might have, but alt-tabbing back and forth is a pain in the ass. So my advice is to go on your phone's Play Store. Look up D&D or Baldur's Gate Bestiality. Okay, wrong word. Do not look up bestiality. There's just some things in life you can't unsee. Like the donkey show in Tijuana. And you'll probably wind up on a list somewhere. The correct word is bestiary. And I'll put it up on the screen here so there's no confusion. See, I just saved you from having bleeding eyeballs. But anyway, back to the video. But there are actual apps on the Google Play Store that contain this information at a glance. While it's not as perfect as having a system in-game, it's a good secondary option. Next up is to take heed of your surroundings. While it may be tempting just to charge into combat, and close the distance between you and your foes, hold up a bit. It might be a better idea to take a look around at your surroundings. Some spells and ranged weapons deal greater damage if you are holding the high ground, so look for ledges that you can jump to. And also don't forget you have the push ability. Fighting near a ledge or a drop-off, you can push the enemy off of it. If the opportunity arises, it's an easy way to end a contest. And even if the fall doesn't kill the enemy, it will still do damage. And it will also provide you with extra time to decide your next move, because the enemy will have to make its way back to you. Another thing to keep in mind is throwing items can also be extremely helpful. Throwing a grease bottle into some flames or anything smoldering, and boom, you have a big bonfire that your enemies are either in or have to come across to get to you. So slow down and take a look around. It will make your journey in combat so much easier. Now this next one's a short one, but try to attack your enemies from behind. Your chance of hit is greater, plus you can usually deal more damage. Even if you are face to face and toe to toe, by clicking and moving behind your enemy can give you an advantage. Just use this with caution. You have to do it and not trigger the enemy's reaction. If you accidentally move over 5 feet away from an enemy, they will strike you as a target of opportunity. So when you make this move, try and make sure that your pathing hugs your opponent as not to trigger them. And the last thing I'll bring up is to loot everything. Everything you come across, you need to see if it's holding anything of value. From dead corpses to crates, or things just hidden around in the game. There's no telling what you might find if you spend the time to look. New weapons, trinkets that are worth a lot of money, and gold, plus your health potions and the whatnots. Take your time. It'll be worth it in the end. But those are the tips and tricks I have for you in this video. If you have any more you want to add, please add them in the comments below. Let's see if we can help as many people as possible. I think Larian Studios is doing an excellent job with Baldur's Gate 3. I've been playing it ever since it entered Early Access, and the Early Access game is only one act of 3, but in my opinion it's coming along nicely, and is one of the very few games that I would tell somebody to go ahead and buy even though it is still Early Access. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And on another note, before I end this video, I'm still collecting questions for my Q&A video that I'll be doing. So if you have anything gaming or tech related, go ahead and throw one of those down in the comments below too. I think the Q&A video could be a lot of fun. But if you liked the video and found it informative, or hell even if you didn't, and you just like being here, leave it a like, and subscribe for future Axial GT content. I really do appreciate you watching, and until next time my friends, I am out of here. You all have a good one.